could do what love is all about.
Voice Vicenza.
Voice Vicenza Oro International Community Event. We are here to talk about the future of this industry in our country. We here have the protagonists. They are all digital natives. With them, we'll speak about how the digital world, the new ways of communicating, e-commerce, social media will change the distribution in the future. Many are already aware of what's going on. Many are accelerating their learning curve. We have all digital natives here. Alessia Crivelli, welcome, marketing manager of Crivelli, a company in Valenza, founded in 1970. Davide Dalmazzo, social media coach, a coach of what's going on the social media. Welcome, you are from Vicenza. Laura Inghirami, the founder of Donna Jewel community with a lot of followers. Matteo WRÅD, CEO, CMO, creator of WRÅD Communication, will speak about a lot of issues and the sustainability of innovation. So the key word is innovation. Well, Italian companies are entering this new stage. I think that being able to master new channels and the new languages is a key element. Not all people are aware of that. Davide, you are from Vicenza. You are very young. You are the youngest teacher at the University of Padua. You also teach in high schools the civic education in the digital world. Many companies here are very, very small companies. Many of them are family companies. Maybe they are not well aware of the importance of the digital world. If we want to communicate in moments like this of the pandemic, well, what are the key elements? What is the ABC? How can these companies improve their performance? How can we be at the service of these very small companies? Well, I come from Trissino, which is a village nearby, so I am familiar with the very small companies. The key element is to be on social media in a proactive way. This is the leap forward that we had to do. So social media are not only a catalog where I post the pictures of my jewels. I cannot convey loyalty or the desire to see jewels and then make an order. So changing the level of communication. So exhibiting is not enough. We have to invent a storytelling in order to communicate the values and the history of the brand. What are the most effective platforms there? Indeed, Instagram is the most effective. Facebook is indeed the most used platform. Then it depends on the market. If I want to exhibit in Asia or Russia, I have to think about the most important channels for them. In China, they have WeChat, WeGo. So I have to shift my communication onto other channels. Reputation is a key element. That also means trust, loyalty, the relationship with the followers. What's new for companies is that that is bi-directional. You are exposed to criticism. You put yourself at stake every day, and many people are afraid of that. How can we respond to a negative comment? What's your advice on that? Well, first of all, I think that you have to put your face there, to be there directly. We are craftspeople. That means Italian values. So we have to convey that value, show pictures, Instagram stories, posts on Facebook showing what you do with a jewel. If you just show a picture, well, the viewers might think that the jewel has not been made in Italy. So this is the first step to gain the loyalty and the trust. When there are negative comments, you have to be ready to manage that. You need to have the knowledge, or rather a policy, so that you can, answer or suggest to be called privately. Matteo, you mentioned Instagram. Your story started from sustainability in the world of fashion with a page of that. He said two key words, which were our starting point. Instagram to restore trust in the market on daily objects. I work in the textile field. Transparency is a key element. For 8 years, I had worked in a major multinational company in apparel. There was no transparency on people working and on the production processes. So there was a disconnection between product and truth, between customer and the possibility to approach products differently was a key element. And indeed, that had a major impact in terms of pollution. According to many different KPIs, the textile sector is among the 5 most polluting industries. That's where we started. You had worked for Abercrombie and Fitch. You had a very transparent people there, models nearly naked in the shops. So tell us something about your company. We just started with the idea of offering the truth in a very transparent way on an Instagram challenge. We started in 2015. We had started collecting data to communicate the complexity of sustainability in the textile sector, so that a teenager could enter a shop and ask the key questions to stress values also through what we wear. We started with an education route like Davide did. I started here in Vicenza when I was 14. I was born in this area, and we reach about 10,000 students every year in Italy and also abroad. And we want to have inspiration turned into reality. People say, we know that there is a problem, but what can we do? So this innovative ability is to put processes and products in the market which are responses to the problems created by the industry. In 2016, 2017, we developed a project with a Perpetua group here, and we tried to sell the project. But indeed, the answer was our customers are not interested in that. Maybe you were too young. And somebody said me, you can't go there with a skateboard or a cup because no one will take you seriously. But so many people closed the doors in our face, but we wanted to disseminate awareness. So we founded the third business unit of the company to construct our product because there were no buyers. From Graph IT, which was a typical example of sustainability in the textile sector, and communication and design. We are here in a different industry. One thing is fashion, jewelry and jewels are a different thing. There are jewels more connected to fashion, others are top jewels. Do you think that what you told us can be applied also to very small companies? Well, I discovered through the years, while speaking responsibility and sustainability, well, the drivers are the same, be it a bike, a pencil, a jacket, or a jewel. The key values are the same. Transparency, traceability, that's a very important asset for the whole industry. Then circular economy. How can we limit to generate waste at the source and recycle waste downstream? We are going to reach the 10 billion people on the earth, which is a limit. And then something very important for communication, i.e. to change products into services. When we create non-essential products while using essential raw materials to guarantee the survival of mankind, the question is, how can we justify the construction of a product which, as a matter of fact, is not really needed? How can we justify the use of resources which are necessary to eat, drink, and survive, to create objects which are made only for profits? So the answer is to turn a product into a service, to answer needs which go beyond the product. And this is the answer to go for the next decades. Laura Inghirami has a very important community which she launched some time ago. How was that born?
Thank you so much for your question. I would like to thank Vicenza Oro and Voice. Donna Jewel was set up in 2017 as an Instagram jewel community. Now it is a website and it is a startup which involves many people who want to innovate our sector. So starting from the year of foundation, what I've always tried to do is to give voice to all the people in our sector who do not have a voice. So I started a journey which helped me know these people. So I started a journey which helped me get in contact with many sectors, many designers, many stakeholders in Italy and in the world. And I've always tried to enhance and promote their excellency because in such a fragmented sector, what always interested me is the person who has thought so much about the product as to make it. So I wanted to then digital and share these excellent stories in my Instagram channel, which has become the most followed in Italy and one of the most influential in the world. Now it is made by 130,000 people, all people who are interested in art, fashion, jewelry. It is buyers, international trendsetters, shoppers, and people coming from any part of the world. And they are real artists because they do not work only with the mind and their hands, but they work based on their passion, on their heart. There is this sentence by St. Francis which says, those who work with the hands are workers. Those who work with hands and mind are artisans. Those who work with hands, minds, and heart is an artist. So I wanted to get together and to put together all the great artists that I've met because they really put their passion and heart in everything that they do. So through social media, these people have had the opportunity to get in touch with people around the world. They had contacts with Asia, with the US, and this has been really satisfactory for me. Well, I'm a perfect example of a millennial, and for me, the possibility of sharing this voice which comes from the other side of the world, well, that's a source of satisfaction for me. However, something was lacking because in Italy we have a lot of success stories, we have a lot of excellence, and we have the digital means which enable us to tell these stories. Now, the social media are very democratic. Everybody can use them. There are no economic barriers to their use. So what is lacking? Well, in my opinion, what's lacking is a door to digitalization. I'll make an example. In one of the first exhibitions where I participated as the founder of my startup, I was presented by the daughter of the owner of the company because the daughter, who was my age, hoped that there could be a collaboration with the father in terms of digital communication. Well, the father was not so interested really, and he told me, well, these means, well, I don't like them. I'll let you use them. Well, when you have a company which answers in this way, well, you can reply in two ways. You can either close the door and turn your shoulders to someone who is not interested in your work, or on the other side, you can fight for something which is the good of our sector, for the good results of our sector. And so I decided to go the second way and give him a review in my Instagram channel. This is the post which has become viral in a few hours. And the other day, the owner of that artisan company called me, telling me that he had received orders from America and that he wanted to collaborate with me, to work with me. Well, it was a big satisfaction because I was able to convert a person who could have been my father or my grandfather to digitalization. So I was able to convince this man to be open to digitalization. Well, for me, the objective is that of digital creation. So it's not enough to be digital. It's also important to be present with the right strategy. It's not enough to be in the social media. You need to communicate an experience, an emotion. You have to involve the users and those who are watching you. So I think that we can certainly make it, but in order to make it, we need to create a cultural and digital movement. I believe in that because I think that we could witness to a second renaissance. Well, for some time, I've been trying to enhance our excellency. And this was done also a few days ago by some very important fashion masters who have exhibited our excellency. But in order to do that, we need to share our skills, our competencies, and then we need to put artisans at the center of the sector. Unfortunately, this is not true, because if you think about it, today in Italy there are some prejudices related to the fact that a student who goes to a technical school has less importance as compared to a student who goes to a proper university. Well, to be an artisan is something different, of course, from being a lawyer, but it doesn't mean that there is less value in that. Well, I'd like to conclude with this image. It is The Spring by Botticelli. It's full of symbols. It's full of beauty, of happiness, joy, change, rebirth. And it also expresses talents, traditions, skills that today we are called upon to pass over to the new generations, getting together as Voice has done today, so that they are a cultural heritage, not only for Italy, but for the whole world. Thank you. Thank you. You need an applause. Thank you. A very strong message indeed, because this is a challenge, a cultural challenge, as you said, because we need to be open to these tools which can reach a lot of places and a lot of people around the world. Well, what my colleague said is extraordinary. Well, I'm a bit older than they, and listening to them has confirmed for me that we have extraordinary people, really. Extraordinary, really. Well, I'm a second-generation entrepreneur, and my father founded the company, and he's been a master, really. Well, I'm saying that because in our companies, as she said, there are some jewelry masters who have skills and talents which have to be preserved, taken care of, and enhanced, because there is something in the jewelry sector which is never told, which is never narrated, which is never made public. There is a whole universe behind this world. And this because in the past workshops were closed and people didn't know what was going on in those workshops. So you want to highlight the work of artisans, of masters, and during these exhibitions, it's really possible to have this contact between the viewers and the artisans, because we sometimes do not know how these jewels are made. Well, that's exactly what I said. So the intelligent hands which create a piece of jewel are the narration of what we do. So it is fundamental to show that. Well, do you think that young people will become artisans, or will they just continue to be involved in digital issues? Well, we know that there are many initiatives, for example, Damiani with his training lab. Well, it's a job for young people. There are many young people who work with us. They have a lot of creativity. They can do a million things at the same time. They learn very fast. They solve problems much faster than we do. And they have a creative talent, which is incredible. So it is certainly a work for young people. So there is a lot to learn and a lot to pass over. So that's the reason why we set up this foundation, because we have a generation gap. We realized that at least 50% of the workforce in 5 years will disappear, so to say. So we decided to work on this. We opened our companies, so we have started to organize open days for students and for pupils who now understand that behind our job there is something very beautiful. So you have to invite also the parents, because in the end it's the parents who have a lot of expectations, because there is a lot to do and a lot to work on the prestige of this job. Well, I have 4 children, and I will never expect something from them, because it is them who have to discover their expectations and their talents and abilities. So there is a lot of work to do on the attraction of these works by means of the social media. And there is also an attraction which has to be economic, because in many sectors, starting from fashion, well, many jobs have been promoted thanks to a higher remuneration. Yes, it is true. I think that this situation, this pandemic crisis, will give us a new opportunity to give value to what we do in all sectors, a real value, not only a value related to remuneration. So the fact that we use raw materials which come from the earth, so to use them for the right cause.
Well, I saw a picture with Laura and the craft person. The fact that you can be present in the companies together with the founders and the managers is one of the key reasons to be there. What's your experience? Indeed, in order to convey what we heard so far, we have to be present. We have to be there and put our hands on that. Reality cannot exist if the marketing activities are considered not important. It's like taking a block and asking someone else to do that. Sometimes people take an agency on the social media and have them work. The answer, yes, that might be done, but indeed, filming the moments when a person is making a jewel, understanding the mood of a company is key. I can't have a person from outside to do that. I mean, I'm well aware of the industry, but I indeed don't know that maybe 2 companies doing the same product are different. What are the differences? There are differences. Differences are made by people, the way they make the jewels, and that should be conveyed. This is something that entrepreneurs should understand. It's important. We have to internalize that, i.e. to have a person in the company to work on that, to work on digital communication, partially or totally. This is key. Otherwise, we won't be able to make a leap forward. Matteo, maybe today a very, very young person on a skateboard is sent away again. Will that happen again? What do you think? I told you that you are digital natives because you were born and internet and social media already existed. What do you think? We would never be able, we young person, to innovate products if there had been no exchanges. We need to be in symbiosis so that the country as a system became important. Symbiosis means acquiring the practical experience and bring a new experience to synthesize, to combine two different worlds by making leverage on creativity. When you enter a workshop with people making jewels, and you speak with people who have been doing that for 50 years, it's extraordinary. They are full of ideas. They are ready to solve any problems in larger industries. Certain problems would be an unsurmountable barrier. So working together is very important to convey the messages to a larger audience so that they can understand how a product is made. But also, this is very important to guarantee research, development and progress with a capital P, so that you can make a step backward in order to make 2 steps forward. That's wonderful. Yes, I was listening to your words. You're right. We need to build a bridge between generations. Between my generation, I was born digital. Indeed, I didn't have the opportunity to see craftspersons working. So spreading, disseminating the digital culture is our task. At the same time, we have to be open mentally. We are speaking about ideas and things, but what's important is to get down to work, to devote budgets to digitalization, and that should be inclusive. So it's not only the marketing office thinking about digitalization. That should start from the decision of the entrepreneur, who should realize that that is important. So how do you manage these choices? We do like he says. Exactly. We indeed have a very skillful people supporting us from outside, but still we do that from inside. We want to put our face, so what we post, what we share is something that we choose. Otherwise there would be no soul, no spirit. We would have very nice pictures without a reason. My father sometimes comes to my office and says, put that on your Instagram profile. But that works. It shows that the bridge is being built. And that is key for the future. New generations are very, very fast. Indeed, there is a gap between me and them. But that gap can be filled. If there is communication, the bridge can be built. And we should also think of the return on investment. It's not making images digital only. During the COVID, we have realized that in the past we only had 8% of companies doing e-commerce. It's a very low number, but that is becoming a very, very important channel for industries who in the past indeed snobbed the digital channel. So major brands are opening their stores on the e-commerce. So what's the future? What will be the relationship between boutiques and shops and e-commerce? A bridge is needed there also. The jewel is something which needs movement. Indeed, I try a ring on, I put on earrings. Indeed, you need communication to convey that movement, and that is something which is developing. Laura, that could be speeding up. You may convey more entrepreneurs to digital tools because they can understand that you can sell internet. The digital will be like the air we all breathe, a part of our existence. Thank you very much, Andrea. Indeed, that can be accelerated, but Donna Jewel cannot do that alone. We should be all united. We should work together with previous generations, fathers and grandfathers, to be open to the digital world and to understand that communication strategy should be well structured if we want it to be effective. You can outsource, insource. I'm saying that because our startup follows many digital communication companies. There is no common prescription to be successful online. You have to have tailored studies per each company, and we need these people to have an open mind. They should understand that they need a strategy to interact with the audience, to create engagement, and to make you feel that you are a potential customer and you are a part of a history and an emotion. David and Matteo, social media are open to everyone, theoretically, but also exclusiveness has been a value. Major companies in the fashion world have realized that there is no contradiction between opening communication to everyone while selling things that only few people can afford. What do you think? Well, communication is key in social media, and that should be organized step by step. I saw many people approaching the world of e-commerce, but unfortunately not many of them had a focus on outcomes and on the importance of the term conversion. I mean, if I want people to buy online, they should have a lot of guarantees. We should have guaranteed payment systems. We have to respond very, very rapidly. When we call an office, it's difficult if they don't answer the phone. And the same happens in the field of e-commerce. That's not different. So I enter, I search, I need an info, I need to have it immediately. It's a one-to-one communication. There's a very interesting trend in China. They sell through WeChat, which is their WhatsApp. So it's a one-to-one communication. It's difficult to approach the digital world if you are not aware that you should have a return on investment. And that means you have to be operational and be aware that you need to convey trust so that potential customers are converted into real customers. I fully agree with that. Indeed, exclusiveness is not against openness. This is one of the key rules of the 21st century. Design and communication should be inclusive, open, and offer the possibility to participate. This world is the world of truth. We are no longer safe about what we. Well, you refer to fake news. You are perfectly right. Indeed, it's difficult to read what the truth is. You can read 5 different newspapers and they are different. And our society is really flooded with products. It's so difficult today to say whether I prefer this or that. What makes the difference is what is behind, i.e., that these products mirror my values. So you should invest in order to have a good return. What about data? The digital world gives you the possibility to learn about your customers, their taste, and so on. When they buy something, you learn a lot of things about them. So is that useful for companies? Collecting data in order to collect big data and to have a big message. Tailor-made message is the answer. If you have big data, you can offer a tailored experience mirroring the needs of people. For many decades, we only had a single culture, same product, same communication, same message. We are fed up with that, and we want to go back to a world where people speak to me because I am Matteo. And if you analyze big data, that is possible. Yes, data are not only useful when you buy online. Often so, we forget that the digital world is an amplifier of something which is already existing, i.e. brick and mortar. Through social media, I can shift customers, people whom I analyzed carefully, and can invite them to the brick and mortar shop. That is key. You need to move people from Facebook and Instagram to a real shop. You can say to a customer, we have the brick and mortar shop on the Bassano Bridge, which is nearby, so you can visit it. I need to be able to analyze the features of a person who had seen the post, maybe those who put an I like, and shift them to the brick and mortar place where they can see the jewel. These are the rules of the game. So if you do your job well, the customers turn into promoters of the product. And indeed, we believe that
Is it that way? Certainly. Trust online is fundamental. And certainly you can transmit through true stories. As the colleague said, in a sector which is so full of products and so fragmented, what really narrates and speaks is the history and the story of those who make these products. Alessia. Well, trust comes from identity. So when identity is perceived, then also trust comes, communication comes, and exchanges come. Well, we certainly had the experience of someone going to Instagram and then coming to our shops. And then we have these young people who will do the job. Well, the time has come to draw some conclusions. So in 1 minute, can you summarize your takeaway message? So what it is possible to do in order to restart? Well, the key message for me is a message which goes beyond the product. Today, nobody needs products. So if we start from this assumption, nobody needs you, Matteo, in order to make another bicycle or another T-shirt, well, we will be able to try and think about the real issue, the real essence of design, because design has to solve problems. Of course, there is also an aesthetic side to it, an emotional side to it, but those dimensions cannot be the only one that we use. So we have to work with the social sphere and the environmental sphere. So otherwise, what are we talking about? It's meaningless otherwise. Davide. Well, my message is very practical. Try to go to your social channels and give a look at the content and how much trust is contained in those contents. Because if we speak about trust, we have to realize how much trust they can transmit. In my website, do I have my pictures or do I have pictures taken from other sites? So please try to count the information and this will help you understand further. Well, it's extraordinary because we have received a question from India. There is Sir Shivaner who says, I'm going to launch a brand of fine jewelry, and I would like to start with Instagram. So I've got the pieces, but I'm a bit concerned about how to make a beautiful page for Instagram. So what shall we do? Well, certainly, I have to clarify the steps and the type of content that I want to propose. So it's not the jewels only, but it should be a mix between jewels, people, messages, values, and I have to create the right mix, the right combination, and understand where to propose that combination. So Shivan can get in touch with you. So this sir can get in touch with you. Well, in my opinion, there are three fundamental things: passion, strategy, because we cannot improvise success without a strategy, an effective strategy. And then you need a lot of consistency. Well, to summarize what I said earlier, well, today I'm really happy because I have been able to see many friends after a very bad period, after the lockdown. Well, I think that we can certainly witness to a second renaissance if we share our talents, our experiences, our skills, as the Vicenza Fair has done today, because the Vicenza exhibition remains a place where it is possible to get together, to exchange skills and ideas. So we have to get together also among different generations. So this is fundamental for us. Alessia Crivelli. Well, I have a question from Switzerland. Mr. Gini asks us, what is the real challenge when you have to convert contacts into sales? Because this is the challenge. Because one thing is to have a lot of clicks and likes, and then another thing is to sell products. Well, it's important to have the right objective because you have to know where you want to go. So when a question comes, you have to reply immediately and you have to answer properly, as the colleague said. So you have to always be able to reply immediately to possible questions. So, Alessia, can you give us a takeaway message? Well, Fiera Vicenza has done something incredible because it's the only exhibition which is being organized with actual people. So the atmosphere is good. So that means that we believe in it. We are putting a lot of passion in it. And I think that there are a lot of means by which we can communicate and we can create and we can listen to each other. So it's fine to have had this opportunity. Well, the atmosphere is good, and the messages received from Alessia, Crivelli, Laura, Matteo, and Carlo has been excellent. So thank you so much. And now in 15 minutes, we will speak about export. Thank you.